Good evening. The school committee special session of March 20th, 2024 will now come to order. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Member DeZoglio.
Present.
Member Keegan.
Present.
Member Maxwell.
Present.
Member Shabilia, present. Member Willett.
Present.
Mayor Perry.
Present. Thank you all. Present and accounted for. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Member Willett, seconded by Member DeZoglio. Any discussion? This would be the time where you want to talk about what you want to do with the nominations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would think that in the process of the nominations, once we nominate, both nominees should come up, present themselves, their credentials, and what they would bring to school committee,
Yep.
and then we vote.
My only suggestion would be in the, in the rule of fairness, that we restrict it to the 5-minute rule, which is typical for public participation, if everybody's, so, do we need to vote on that, or, I think,
I do apologize, but we skipped the flag salute. I forgot to put it on the.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, it's on the agenda if we want to do the flag salute. And then we don't have anybody for public participation, so then
Right.
we can go to the discussion and determination,
yeah,
and then I can help you guys through this.
Oh, and then
I'm
we
sorry?
already
Do we need to
accepted.
vote to accept the agenda first?
We already
So-
did.
We're in the discussion phase. Yeah, we should probably accept it, and then we can do the flag salute. So, but I want to just go back to what Member DeZoglio said. So there's, I don't know if it's a motion on the floor, but an idea on the floor that each of the candidates would have 5 minutes upon nomination to talk about, what they bring to the school committee, or what their, their background, and why it's unique, provides for school committee.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. I don't know that we have to vote on it. It's up to you guys.
So-
I'll defer to the chair.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
All right, so we'll follow that process. Okay, so I've got a motion and a second to accept the agenda as presented. Have we got everybody here?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Carries unanimously. All right, now the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Nicely done. Has anybody signed up for public participation? I think the answer is no.
There is none.
Okay, thank you. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to participate, or if you're watching on TV and you'd like to participate in future, remember, all you have to do is either come to the meeting and sign up for public participation, or you can email your public participation to, I was gonna say Dodie Runge, I'm stuck on Martha Soroyce.
That's a blast from the past.
I know. Don't wrap me out.
Might be watching, that was,
Yeah.
Don't wrap me out, Secretary, yeah, right, so, I love you, Martha, wherever you are. All right, at this time, we'll close the public participation portion of the meeting. At this time, we'll start the discussion and determination of the selection process of acting school committeemen. So, I think, this ties into what we were talking about earlier, right? So, to me, and I'm just speaking frankly, unless anybody, there'll be, we'll open a motion to nominate candidates. Upon completion of the nominations, the candidate or candidates will have an opportunity to address the school committee, and then afterwards, we will go into a vote. Does that make sense? Okay.
No. So we nominate someone, we nominate a second someone,
Yeah,
they both speak.
yes.
We take a vote on the first nomination. If the first nomination passes, the second nomination is void, moot?
No, so maybe so I thought, we nominate both candidates get to address the school committee, and then we take a vote on,
Singly.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry?
Yeah,
Singly. So like, I would go and say, Frank Cirillo, then Ken
yeah.
would vote,
Yeah.
and then so on and so
Yeah.
forth.
Okay,
So we'd only vote once, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, all right.
as long as we're on the
And
same
then the
page,
mayor-
we're
You
good.
have a different idea, I'm open to anything.
I got nothing.
Okay,
I'm
And,
good.
and, excuse me, to you, Mr. Mayor, however, you only vote,
Once.
no, in this case,
the
does-
chair only votes as a tiebreaker.
tiebreaker.
I read the rules.
No, I was just,
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. He doesn't want me voting. All right, So, at this time, we'll open the process for, select the school committeeman, and I say acting school committeeman because whoever we nominate is not an official until they go to the city clerk and are sworn into the position, right? And that's the only reason it says acting, so good catch by Martha or the superintendent, whoever put this together. So, at this point, we will open up the nomination process for members to the school committee to replace Luann Santos, who,
I nominate Mary Beth Donovan Grassi.
And I will second that.
we have a motion and a second to nominate Mary Beth Donovan. If elected, Ms. Donovan, will you serve? Yes. Okay, and she has accepted that nomination. Any other nominations?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to nominate Frank Cirillo.
Thank you.
I will second that for you.
Frank Cirillo is nominated and seconded by Member Maxwell. Where is Mr. Cirillo? I can't see him. If nominated, would you accept the position? Okay, and he has accepted the nomination. With that, my suggestion is we go on to have the two candidates come up and address the school committee.
Mr. Mayor,
I'm sorry?
I would like to say that I was unaware that we were making nominations. I thought that people were just brought to us.
Yeah.
So I know that I don't know if I have to do it through City Hall or
Okay.
through us, but I'd like to nominate Alessandra Winnett since she was a write-in candidate.
Yep.
But that's,
Yep. You
That's
can
where
do
I
it. You can
stand.
do it. So if there's, so go ahead and nominate.
so I would like to nominate Alessandra Winnett.
Thank you.
Second.
And seconded by Member DeZoglio. The unfortunate part is she's not here, though, right? So I can't ask her if she's willing to serve.
Yeah.
That makes it difficult.
It does, I know.
Um,
I just wanted to put it out there.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. Yeah. So we'll move on and go into the, so I'm open to, however the two candidates want to come up and address the school committee. We can flip a quarter.
Figure out who wanted to talk first.
Yep. Please introduce yourself if you would.
Good evening, school committee members. My name is Francisco Cirillo, 824 Riverside Drive. Do you want me to start? Okay. So I hold two master's degrees, one from Springfield College and one from Cambridge College, and the second one is a master's of education. I am currently I'm the former chairman of the Greater Lawrence Technical School Committee, representing Methuen, the first person from Methuen to have that position in over 38 years. One of the biggest accomplishments we've done as the school committee, we've raised the number of enrollments from Methuen, and the GLTS worked on together to create to bring the After Dark program to the city of Methuen as well. And one of the other things we're currently working on is the expansion of GLTS as well. I serve as the chairman of the Methuen Housing Authority, and I'm open up to questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. Any questions for the candidate? Member DeZoglio?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Cirillo, can you give a background of what you know about working with the state legislators as well?
That's a loaded question sometimes.
It's going to answer it for you. So.
I am also a former member of the Governor's Latino Advisory Commission under Governor Baker, so a lot of the policies that have come out throughout the last couple of years have been done because of work I've done. So working closely with the legislators is one of the biggest things, and that process is understanding the state budget and the budget process, especially when it comes to education. And understanding that the governor made several cuts to a couple of school districts is just one cut, but is also being able to have the advocacy at the state level to see what kind of funding we could bring in even after those cuts. Because it's a preliminary process.
Member Willett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you have, Frank, any direct experience in the classroom as an educator as an administrator working for a school system?
Yes and no. In adult education for Lawrence Public Schools, I was the adult ESOL specialist, also facilitated the Mayor's ESOL Task Force for the City of Lawrence. I am currently the Economic Development Director, and one of the biggest things is understanding not only what policies are, but also how curriculum can affect education. And you got to understand, when there is a curriculum change, in order for you to see the fruits of a curriculum, it takes 2 to 3 years for you to start seeing that if the process is working, if changes need to be done. But also understanding that when that changes happen, you also have to understand that you're almost back to the drawing board when it comes to that as well.
Thank you.
No problem.
So unfortunately, I feel underprepared to ask questions. In a normal nomination process, we would have gotten resumes and everything else last cycle, and we'd be prepared to ask questions today. So I want to make note that if any poor unfortunate school committee has to go through this in the future, we're better prepared next time.
Agreed.
Yeah. One of those things, so I'll give you a question for you. One of the other experiences that I have is also contract negotiations, especially when it comes to education and teachers. One of the biggest accomplishments that I've done at GLTS was also negotiate all the contracts for the teachers and the clerical staff as well. Contracts, we just did a 3-year contract that everybody said would take at least a year. I've done it in less than 3 weeks. But you have to understand what the needs are of the school districts as well as the staff, and what is the foreseeable, which we all, at the end of the day, is money at some point, and the financial impact that's going to play. And you have to predict what the cuts are moving forward when it comes to the state budget, because that's also going to determine everything that happens when you're doing contract negotiations. Dan, tough question.
You can always count on me for at least one.
Okay, I appreciate you, thank you, appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for
Hang
your
in for a
time.
couple minutes, yep. Mary Beth?
Well, good evening. My name is Mary Beth Donovan Grassi. I live at 15 Coolidge Street. I retired December 31st after 24 years in Methuen Public Schools as a classroom teacher, associate principal, and then supervising principal. Our 2 children went through Methuen Public Schools, and I currently work part-time for Merrimack College as an adjunct lecturer. I'm a program supervisor where I supervise, coach, and mentor and evaluate aspiring teachers. So thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I really want to start out by sharing how I got to this moment this evening. My interest in this position started a few months ago, as some of you know. Back in the fall, when it became apparent that the school committee was going to be down a person, and it looked like there would be a write-in election, I started the process to be a sticker candidate. I was scheduled to retire December 31st from Methuen, and I thought I could ease right into the new year, continuing my passion, my work for Methuen Public Schools as a member of the school committee. I contacted the city solicitor, the state ethics board, to learn about potential conflicts in being a sitting employee of the city, and then campaigning for an elected position. The ethics folks shared the guidelines with me and told me I would have to follow some specific rules during the campaign, but it was doable. And I started to figure out how to print my name on those little stickers to hand out to people. I know you understand, Mr. Willett. And I gave it a lot of thought. Ultimately, I decided against the run. It was a tough decision for me. I knew my head and my heart could not and should not be in 2 places. That the Tenney Grammar School, the place that I love so much, deserved my full attention as we prepared for a new principal after 10 years. Some folks knew I had the deep interest in continuing my work with the schools in a totally different perspective, and that is why I'm here, hoping to be appointed. But the loss of an experienced and dedicated committee woman like Ms. Santos is huge, and it must have been so hard for her to make that decision, and I appreciate her commitment to our community. But for me, it's a bit of serendipity, the right place at the right time. Working in the schools has been my vocation and my avocation, making sure our students afforded quality instruction in a safe learning environment, making sure they are empowered by their literacy. Having worked in Methuen as a teacher and administrator, I know how hard our staff works and how hard that work can be. I will bring a bit of institutional knowledge to the table. I know what the literacy data shows. I know our ever-changing student population, the concerns of the parents, how we staff and program to meet our students' needs. I have sat in on countless budget meetings, building the budget book. I have sat in countless budget meetings, cutting the budget book. I know educational law, special education law, and the state laws that tell us how to discipline our students. I have supervised within the collective bargaining agreements with all our units and have lots of expertise in teacher and program assistance evaluations. You know, I just realized there are too many I pronouns in what I just said, and I'm sorry about that. But my point is this: the information, the knowledge, the history that I could bring to the board, I think would be helpful to the committee, and everyone brings a different perspective. And this perspective would help inform our decisions on our major responsibilities, establishing budget and creating policy. I promise to base all my decisions through one lens, one that is fair and equitable, responsible, and best for our school community. Not all of those decisions will be easy or popular. There is so much work to do here and a lot of homework ahead for the school committee. Budget negotiations with all the units, the budget, the return of our media centers, pushing forward with our literacy efforts, using evidence-based practices, maintaining safe buildings and school cultures, and, of course, the upcoming school audit. All challenges, but all opportunities. And I very much would like to be part of that. So thank you for your time. If you have questions, I'll try.
Members, questions?
I'll jump on the elephant in the room.
Okay.
As someone who just retired end of December,
Yes.
can you speak to what folks may perceive as an emotional conflict? I mean, I was on the PTO at the Tenny. I know the relationship you had with the staff. I know that yourself and Dr. Kwan go way back, and I want to be able to make sure that people are at ease in knowing that if you are the nominee, that there won't be any issue there for you or for the committee. So
You know, I really do appreciate that because I know everyone was thinking it.
that's
So,
why it's the elephant in the
I know.
room.
It's no longer an elephant because it's here and we're talking about it. So that said, when I was principal, supervising principal, assistant principal, I often had to make some very difficult decisions. And I couldn't think about it. I kind of knew to do my job, I couldn't make everyone happy. So that said, I prided myself on always making the decision that was right by the students, that would move the education of our kids forward. I can say Dr. Kwong and I didn't always agree on things, and sometimes parents and I didn't always agree on things, but we all came from a place with the same goal to do what is right by our kids. So frankly, I have no problem making decisions or having difficult conversations, because that is the most important thing we can do right now, especially in such tough times. This can't be about popularity
Thank
or
you.
getting along or personalities. Okay.
Thank you.
Member Willett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you lauded many important goals, literacy,
Yeah.
test scores, outreach to majority, minority community, parent-teacher conferences, budget negotiations, and budget additions and cutbacks. The question I had, and I'm back to the school committee again,
Yeah.
entering my 7th year. What I'm noticing at the beginning is that there's a concern about the disciplinary law and the changes to the disciplinary laws in Massachusetts. So from a perspective as a former principal affiliated with the Methuen Public Schools and dealing with the implementation of that new law and the disciplinary issues, do you feel personally, coming to the school committee, that that's something that, as a school committee and working with our legislative delegation, is that we should be prioritizing? Because I'm noticing issues with how fights are designated, how people are treated under the new laws, maybe too much in terms of protection of the bully versus the victim. So from that perspective, I was just curious, your personal thoughts on it, something, if you are appointed to the school committee, that you would bring a personal approach to it, your insights on it.
Yeah, well, I certainly have lots of opinions on it and lots of experience, okay, with the laws that came out of nowhere a few years ago, where we have to, everyone, it's a state law, we have to follow a very specific protocol in responding. School committee deals in policy. I'm not quite sure if I'm answering your question, but I know when you look at what is going on through around Massachusetts, there is a discussion now at a state level of maybe we need to tighten things up a bit. Maybe there needs to be some reflection of how these laws impact a school community. And I think, obviously, that has to come from the state level. We can't change how we deal with some of these disciplinary actions because they are so specifically laid out to us. So that, I know, is a real challenge at a number of schools. I'm not quite sure if I
No, I
answered your
think
question.
that's an honest answer. It's
Yeah,
just that, as school committee members, we're gonna be dealing with cutbacks to the state budget.
Oh, I see where you're going.
That was thrusted upon
I
us.
see where you're going, yeah.
And when we make recommendations and we do outreach to the legislative delegation, one of the concerns that might be brought up, or you might agree or disagree, and I know it's been reflected at numerous school committee meetings, is the issue of disciplinary matters.
I see.
And I think there was a loosening of the rules in terms of people that may be classified as bullies or causing fights, and the victims are not as protected as maybe in years past. And that was the perspective I thought that you might have. And then again, you have a totally honest answer on it. It's a complex issue, and that was why I just wanted to pose the question to you,
Sure.
from your standpoint.
I see what I follow you now.
Yeah.
And I think a response could be, I know at the district level, there has been some, different approaches and how to help support students on every side. For instance, I know the high school does Saturday detentions, or they used to. There's a number of different ways to respond to concerns.
No, I appreciate that, and there's no, again, it's a fluid situation, it's a complex situation.
Yeah, and we're mandated.
Yeah.
There's a mandate from the state on how to respond.
Yeah, I just thought that, again, what I was reviewing in different districts is that they're experiencing problems with the law as a whole, and there might
yeah,
be
yeah.
cause for change, and that sometimes
Yeah.
that percolates from
The
the
district
local
to the state
leadership,
level.
from the. yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Okay,
that was
gotcha
in
now.
conjunction with that question, so.
Sure, sure.
yeah.
I
Sort
certainly
of
would-
another elephant in the room, type
Yeah,
of thing.
and I certainly would enjoy being part of that discussion.
Yeah,
Without
thank
a
you.
doubt. You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So, that brings us to the process, and I want to explain something, here publicly. So, the member you nominated, she would be eligible for nomination. She is not, she ran for school committee though, right? So the charter specifically lays out that if if the next candidate didn't get more than 20% of the vote, that it has to go to either after 21 days, a determination process by the senior member of the school committee, or what we just did, right? So I just want people to understand, this is not done under wraps, at least not from my perspective. We've talked about it in a couple meetings now, and it's unfortunate. I wish the young lady was here, because I don't know, I'd love to meet her. So maybe another day, so. But I just want that said. Having said that, it's time to come to the toughest part of the agenda for us, and that is the roll call vote. So I'm going to turn it over to you. And just a reminder that the chair only votes if there's a deadlock. All right? Okay. So, Mr. Secretary, if you would.
I miss Martha. Member DeZoglio.
I am going to vote for Frank Cirillo.
Member Keegan.
I'm voting for Mary Beth Donovan Grassi.
Member Maxwell.
I'm gonna vote for Mary Beth.
Member Shabilia. My vote goes to, so it's unfortunate because I know both these candidates. I know they would both do a fantastic job, but my vote is for Mary Beth Donovan. Member Willett.
Mary Beth Donovan, Grassi.
And since there's no tie, that completes it.
I don't have to vote, correct. All right, well, let me extend my thanks to both nominees. I'm sorry?
I just want it on record.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
one vote for Mrs. Cirillo and four for Ms. Donovan.
Thank you.
One vote for Mr. Cirillo. You said Willett? That's him, is it? Did I hear that wrong?
Did I say Willett? I thought I said
I thought You
Cirillo.
said Willett? No.
I'll take
maybe-
another
Maybe it's
vote.
my ears, Dan. Sorry. All right. So, Mary Beth, congratulations. You now have to go to the city clerk's office before the next school committee meeting and get sworn in.
That's Monday, for the record.
Yeah. 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 8 to 4:30, except for Friday. Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, sure.
I just want to say thank you so much. I've worked with many of you in many different ways, and I look forward to spending Monday nights.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you.
There will be no discussion of the field trip to Baltimore, though.
None.
All right. All right. Is there any other issue that the committee wish, Member Willett?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up for the record,
Yeah.
and you brought it up briefly, is that the charter language on this is ridiculous. It's
couldn't agree more.
asinine.
Yeah.
It's undemocratic.
Yep.
So to have one person after 21 days, regardless of the status, make the sole determination of appointing a member
Couldn't agree more.
is the checks and balances of our Constitution, I think it would be unconstitutional. So I know Counselor DJ Beauregard and Chairman Ferrera are working on this with the Charter Commission.
And the mayor.
And the mayor, sir, thank you. And I also want to say for the record, at no time did any member indicate that they were in favor of having one person make the final determination. This has been open, transparent, and accountable to the voters of Methuen. We had a fair process. It was during a public meeting, and we took roll call votes. Any insinuation otherwise, I'm going to say diplomatically as best as I can, and I love using the term, was asinine. So thank you.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. Thank you,
Yes.
Member Willett. So, it's always difficult, right? And for the record, I 100% agree with you on the charter language. I wish I could tell you that's the only section of the charter that I see that's wrong, but there's, so there will be a charter commission.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll finish it this time versus
Yeah.
getting it to the former mayor and then having it die as it goes to, House for a look. So, that's an important thing that's on the agenda, and we discussed it this past Monday night at council. So my hope is, though, that the Charter Commission picks up where that last group looked and said, okay, what were they looking at the changes? Do they make sense? Right? And versus, and then, takes a longer look at the charter, because a lot of good work was done, and to me was wasted because there was a failed handoff between the mayor at the time and our representatives to get it, addressed at the state level. So, more to come on that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, I can take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Member Willett, seconded by Member DiZoglio. All those in favor signify by, excuse me, I gotta do roll call vote. Sorry, Mr. Secretary.
Member DiZoglio,
Yes.
Member Keegan,
Yes.
Member Maxwell.
Yes.
Member Shabilia, yes. Member Willett,
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes. Unanimous, the meeting is adjourned at 6:00 PM. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night, Methuen.